Lifeboat Live, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, as always, is my partner, Mark Wages. He's a rock star, truthfully, absolute rock star. And you are on the lifeboat. Brandon is back. He says, hit the like button. I love you all. We love you too, man. Glad that you are back. He was with his soon-to-be mother-in-law yesterday. Said he had a great time, which just goes to show that it's the soon-to-be mother-in-law. Because no, I'm just kidding.
Makes me wonder if he's a liar now or what. Just
like
kidding, Brandon.
He's either not being honest or they've just until their mother-in-laws, there's no, I'm kidding though. You could have a great relationship.
Yeah,
I'm
I do
just
with
joking.
mine actually.
Yeah, you know what? I knew that. And Major, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Freedom Fighter, good to see you. We got a lot of pretty good turnout this evening. People tonight. Hey, Buddha Davis. Tonight we're going to be talking about belief. And this is a subject that lives on so many levels. It's incredible. It really, you could attack this from so many different ways. But one of the things that jumped out at me, I've been, as you know, I read a lot of stuff about addiction, a lot of stuff about recovery. It's something that I basically do almost nonstop. I mean, truthfully, I've been doing it now for years, and I was reading in that almost everybody that has been down the same road that all of us here have, at one time or another, we all believed that we were destined for something better, that we were special. This is something that across the board, almost every addict interviewed, and these people interviewed a gazillion of them. Everyone felt that they were special, that somewhere inside there was something that they were either supposed to do something that was just massive, or they were supposed to be famous, or they were supposed to be whatever, but so much more than what we end up. And I found that fascinating. I really did, because this is one of the things that drugs kills faster than anything, right? We go from believing that we are special, that we are maybe chosen, or we're unique, something really massive is supposed to happen with us. We go from that to believing that we're worthless, right? And it happens overnight. It really does. I mean, it's one of those things that once the substance takes over, you go from caring so much about yourself and believing so much of what you're capable of to having absolutely no faith in yourself at all. And I find that fascinating. I really do, especially when you consider that if you have any bench genetics, good to see you, my brother. I'm glad that you're here. If you have any hope whatsoever of crawling out of the pit that addiction is. The only way that that happens is with a belief, right? And that belief starts not necessarily in yourself. That's something that that will come later, but the belief that it's possible. And it's amazing how often I talk to people. I would say daily, that might be an exaggeration, but every single week I talk to people who simply do not believe that it's possible that they can get sober. They don't believe that they can face a day without drugs or alcohol. And this is so pervasive. It's across the entire spectrum. We talk it's astounding how many people have come to believe that it's not possible. And that lives on a lot of levels as well. Some of it is just a lack of faith in yourself, right? And we know that that's what drugs and alcohol do. But the other thing is that once drugs or alcohol don't yell at me. It's the same thing, right? But they're different. As much as they are both drugs, they are unique. My bobbleheaded partner's laughing because he knows that I'm going to get a couple of emails today. By the way, I got to say this real quick. Do you know why I said that my bobbleheaded partner is a rock star? If you ever get over and watch Wages World, right? Great. I really enjoy that. If you never got a chance to get over to Wages World and watch Mark do his thing over there, it's first of all, it's fascinating, and it's a really great group of people. A lot of you are in that group of people. But man, last night there were 1,000+ people in the live chat. 1,000 people. Man's a rock star. He really is. It's absolutely crazy.
Appreciate that.
No, it was good stuff. It's fun. I love watching you when you're in your element. So we lose faith and we lose the belief in ourselves. And once that is gone, climbing out of that is almost impossible. So for those of us who are trying to reach out and save somebody, right, which we say all the time here, right? Reach out and try to save somebody. What we really need to do is make people believe that they can live a life without. And you would think that that would be easier than it is. Happy birthday, Heather. Happy birthday. And you know something? Hold on. Someone else. Zenwen. I believe it's Zenwen's birthday as well.
Yep.
Look at that.
I think so. Yep. All right, guys. We need some ones in the chat for a happy birthday. Let's do it.
Austin Bullock says, I thought of a new one for the window opening. For some people, some days my window is a revolving door. You know what? There's a lot of truth to that. And I'm really glad, Austin, that you said that, because when we talk about the window, right, it's a brief period of time. When that window opens, really what we're talking about is the belief, right? For a really brief period of time, the addict believes that it's possible that they can get sober, which is why we have to be there at that time, because so quickly the drugs cloud that belief. And and we've all been there. Anybody here who's gotten sober at any point knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you think, that's it, I'm going to do this. This is the day I'm going to get sober. Man, I'm going to kick this thing and I'm going to, start a new life. It's going to start today, right now. And then the ants start crawling all over your brain, right? The automatic negative thoughts begin to tear you apart. You're not going to get through it. There's no way you're going to get through it, right? You're wasting your time, seriously. And you're going to embarrass yourself telling people that you're going to do this and then falling on your face and doing it again and again and again. It's just stupid to even bring it up. And these things literally take you apart. They absolutely bring you to a place where you cannot believe it's possible to get sober. You can't believe that the sober you is something that could take place. So as I'm reading this stuff, hey, SG, I was just talking about you right before we went live. So as I was reading this,
most of it was good too.
No, he's lying. Very little of it was good.
Just kidding.
As I was reading this, it gets depressing. And that happens quite often when you start to really dive into recovery stuff. Very often it's very, very depressing stuff, because there isn't, you're looking for that silver lining where they're going to tell you that, boy, this is, you can do this. And if you take this route, then you can overcome all of these things. And there really was no magic bullet for this. And I kept reading and kept, looking for, okay, now tell me how it is that, we can overcome this. the belief or the lack of belief? How do you overcome this? And amazingly, people, we've talked about it so many times, and it's so damn glaring. But you know what the cure for that is? Do you know what makes people believe that it is possible for them to get sober? Seeing someone else that has. It's absolutely a stone cold fact. The research on this is literally would gag you. There was so much research done on this to prove that, we sit and we talk about all the time. This is the gold standard, right? Group therapy is the gold standard for getting people help in anything, right? Whether it's, someone who's in an abusive relationship or, coming back from combat, whatever. Group therapy is the gold standard. And people, this is the reason why, right? This is the glaring reason why. When we give up hope on ourselves, when we don't believe that we have the capacity to get up off the deck and face the world without substances, to see someone else that did it is really our only hope. So when that window opens, right, or the revolving door, right, but when that brief moment opens and somebody thinks just for a split second, you know what, man, maybe I can pull this off. If they don't see somebody that has, they're going to go right back to what they were doing. Yep. Absolutely no two ways about it. Now, the big red button pays once a month, right? And people, every time they do, Mark and I discuss whether or not we should get a Bentley, maybe a Ferrari. and then we realize that if we're lucky, we might be able to buy a pair of high top sneakers, providing they're not classics or anything. But the reason that I bring that up is we just got paid. So we are embarking now on the business cards that we were talking about. So any suggestions that you want to email us on, things that you think that card needs to say? I mean, I have a fairly good idea of what should be on there, but if there's something that you think really should be on this card, and if you're confused about what I'm talking about, there are a lot of people in the group that have said, I would love to be able to hand something to somebody who's addicted, somebody who's in the life, because I don't want to have to go up there and try to give them a presentation, on the fact that there's a place where people care and yada, yada. So since the big red button just did take care of us, we're going to be taking care of that shortly. But it's glaring just how important what we do here is. And again, yes, it's the gold standard, but in so many other avenues of the exact same group therapy, there is that feeling that everyone in the room is doing this one. Right? Yeah. I mean, you walk in the door and the first thing you feel is 100 pair of eyes staring at you. And if you've ever been that person, if you've ever been an addict that walked into that room, what you feel is not 100 eyes. You feel 100 sober eyes. And you feel like they're looking at you like you're not quite up to snuff. Everybody in the room has figured this out. You haven't. And very often it is a difficult thing to cope with. And it slams that window shut. The beauty of what we have here is all of you. It's the fact that when people come to the lifeboat, as opposed to seeing 100 sets of eyes staring them down, they get a virtual hug. Yep. They get people who say, hey, welcome to the lifeboat. We're so glad you're here. And that the overwhelming sense of belonging that happens so fast here is one of the reasons that we're reaching the level of success that we are. And when I say we, you realize that I'm talking about us, right? There's so much of what we're doing here is dependent on the crew, how they treat people.
Yeah, they accept.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's acceptance. It's instant acceptance. And because of that, people feel like they can come here and say, you know what? This is what has been happening, right? This is where I'm at. Whereas they may never stand up in front of a group of people and say that. Or if they will, it's months down the road, years in some cases down the road, where they will feel comfortable enough. And we've talked about this many times on the boat. The ultimate fear among most people on this planet is public speaking.
Yeah. Yes.
With everything going on in my life, I don't even have time to think about alcohol. It's not going to help me anyway. Ben, you're right, it isn't. And I know you got a lot going on in your life, brother. I pray for you on it.
Yeah.
If you knew how often Your name comes up often. People, if you don't know Bent, it's just because you haven't been here long enough, because he's one of the founding members of the lifeboat. In fact, he was here when it was pre lifeboat. And you know something? We don't need all of the details, but prayers for Bent would be great. Really would appreciate that.
And I appreciate the fact that he's looking at that in that perspective, because everything is a lot of negative stuff he's talking about there, but he pointed out a positive part about it.
Right. Well, and that's pretty standard with Ben.
Yeah.
He has an ability to look on the bright side. And I'm not going to lie. He said a couple of days where he came in and just wanted to let loose. And something that needs to happen sometimes too. But 90% of the time, he really is looking on the bright side. Matthew says, "This is amazing. Thank you all for the open arms. This is definitely the help I needed. Make no mistake. This is the help I need. This is the help Mark needs.
Yep.
This is the help that every single person here needs." And once again, the opposite of addiction is connection. And the more I read, the more that just gets hammered home. The belief that you can live a better life, the belief that it is possible to get through a day sober is absolutely contingent on how many people you know who have pulled it off. And the more people you know who have pulled it off, the better your chances are. This is why you don't go and find one person and the two of you just hang out and it's possible. Definitely not the best case scenario. There are going to be attributes of some people that really jump out at you. And there are going to be things about this person's story that's a little more like yours. And there's going to be something about, and all of that comes together. This is why Mark and I say so often, it's amazing how much we have learned on the boat, how much we have learned from the crew. No matter how many books I read, no matter how much stuff we study, there's always somebody here that's going to say something that is either just phrasing something in a way that I've never thought to do it, or I've never read it. And it just instantly, ding, the light bulb goes on. And I think, oh man,
that's amazing when that happens, isn't it?
It really is.
Awesome.
It's absolutely amazing. So back to belief. This is where things get both dicey and exciting, right? This is where things really get exciting. One of the worst traps that people fall into when they get sober, it is the greatest achievement in most people's lives. Make no mistake. This is why people like Sir Elton John, or, you see these rock stars that have done everything, right? Slow Hand, Eric Clapton, right? In his autobiography, the guy's done everything. These people have been so successful. When they say, what are you most proud of? Getting sober, hands down. And it's not even something they sit and think about, right? No, getting sober. Definitely what I am most proud of. And you should be. Make no mistake that we said from the very first day we opened the channel, this is a place where you can come and talk about, and own your past, right? Without being judged, and a place where you can celebrate. Very often, if you say to a family member, hey, you know what? I'm at a year sober. You believe that, man? I am 1 year sober. Congratulations. Your uncle's coming over. Don't mention that sobriety stuff, please.
That's so bad when that happens.
Well, it does. And here's the thing. I'm not mad at any of them. I get it.
Yeah, no, I
really do.
Yeah.
But you're right. It sucks. So this is a place where you can come and celebrate, and everybody will go, hell yeah, and pump their fists in the air for you, because we all know what it takes. Here's the trap, people. Here is the trap. Because of what an amazing achievement it is to get sober, very often it becomes the last achievement anybody tries for. You know what I'm talking about? How many times have you met people or seen people that once they get sober, it's like, check me out, right? Look at what I have done. I managed to get that monkey off my back, or I managed to slay that dragon, or I managed to whatever, right? Insert your favorite cliche. But at that point, we've said it so many times here, that's the base camp, right? When you get sober, you have reached base camp. Now in front of you is Everest, right? Now in front of you, you get a chance to leave your mark. One of the other things that blows me away is how many people will say after they get sober, we'll start talking about planning for the future, right? Have you ever sat down and made a list of exactly what it is you want in life? Well, no, I never have. Well, would you consider doing that? And very often someone will say, well, you hem and haw. More than not, what they're going to say is, it's too late. It's too late. People, if you're going to get sober, to sit and say, my entire life is over. I blew it completely by using drugs and alcohol, but I'm not going to use them anymore. That's one really crappy plan for the rest of your life. I'm sorry, it is. You can do absolutely amazing things once you get sober. It's base camp. And you know something? I don't care if you're 25, 35, 55, 75. I am of the firm belief that everybody listening to the sound of my voice has something that they're going to leave as a mark on this planet, on society, on the world. You're going to leave a mark, whether you want to or not, right? Even those who don't get sober, trust and believe they're leaving a mark, right? It's not a good one, but they're definitely leaving a mark. Very often one that will go for generations to come. Go ahead, my brother.
Oh, no, I did. We used to talk a lot about, setting goals, because you spoke about that a minute ago. You can't get anywhere unless you have a goal to go somewhere. It's important to know, what is your goal, and it can be short ones, it can be long ones, whatever it is. It's just you have to have something to shoot for. And,
Amen.
and we kind of talked about this yesterday. That's what sometimes makes recovery and withdrawal experiences and things like that so hard, because you just don't know when it's going to be over. And it scares a lot of people, and it scared me too. But
absolutely it does.
Like we said a 1,000 times, you're either moving forward or you're moving back. You're never standing still. So you have to keep moving. And anyway, that's what.
Well, no, and you're absolutely right. And you know what? Amy said the first step is the hardest. Just putting it down the first time and not picking it up again. It's tough. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. What makes it easier is the knowing for a stone cold fact that it's possible, right? Truthfully, because so often until you see someone, until you got someone right there who goes, you know what? I've been there. Follow me, right? That's why group therapy works. For real. That's exactly why.
Yep. That's exactly.
I just got to tune in a minute ago, but I'm 40 and I feel good about my sobriety. However, I do feel stuck at times in life. You know what? It's not a sin to feel stuck. And it makes a hell of a lot of sense if you think about it, right? We have been abusing, Stephanie, so good to see you. We have been abusing a part of our brain. The reactive part has come to be programmed to do things that are counterintuitive to what should be going on, right? So I feel stressed out. Do some dope. Well, you know what? Things are really good at work and, I'm getting along great with the wife. Do some dope. It doesn't matter what you tell your brain, the reactive part of your brain. And make no mistake, people, it doesn't think, right? It does not think. It's why we call it the reactive part of the brain. This is how you get through life. If you had to actually think about every single thing, right, before you had to do it, like tying the shoes or ding dong, that noise means something. What is that? Oh, that's right. It means that somebody is at the front door, which means that I probably ought to get up, walk over there and see. Obviously, it sounds silly, but that's exactly what goes on. The reactive part of our brain cuts out all of that garbage, and about 80% of everything we do is reactive. Unfortunately, we've been programming that the wrong damn way our entire life. Now, Mark's made a great point earlier. If you feel like you're stuck, get out a piece of paper and a pen. I mean it. If you feel like you are stuck, get out a piece of paper and a pen. Write down what you want in life. If you have not put down what you want to do with the rest of your time on this planet, don't get shocked when nothing happens. Right? And I'm not picking on anybody because, again, it's such a monumental thing, right? To get sober, that we believe very often that, well, I'm good, right? We talk about this all the time. I have eliminated booze. I have eliminated cocaine. I have eliminated heroin, whatever your poison was. Once that's eliminated, we have been telling ourselves the entire time that we've been addicted that the only thing I need to do is get rid of that crap. If I could just get that out of my life, everything would be what? Perfect. Right? Well, that's just not the case. Right? Once you get that stuff out of your life, it's kind of amazing how you still got bills to pay. Right? And you still got people who treat you like you're still an alcoholic or a heroin user or whatever. There are all of these mountains that you were climbing or staring at when you were using. They don't go away when you get sober. But very often we get sober, and when the great stuff just doesn't come dumping our way, we sit back, we concentrate on our sobriety, and we wait for it, right? Because obviously, if I just stay sober, success is going to knock at the front door. Tommy, how you doing? I'm Success. I'm here to give you everything you ever wanted, right? Nice car, better house, maybe a girl, all of those things, right? Well, it's ridiculous. But to rewire the brain and then rewire the brain, right? The first thing that you got to do is get rid of that substance. And Amy said it perfectly, right? Just putting that down the first time is a very difficult thing to do. To walk away from it and not look back is a very, very difficult thing to do. And once we're done, well, then you have this daunting, well, now what? Sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and write down what mark you want to leave on this planet. And, I hear people say, well, what I really wanted to do when I was younger, but that's, that ship has sailed. BS. I'm telling you, right? If I could do it all over again, I would have done this. I got news for you. You can do it all over again. That's what getting sober is all about. Tommy says, yeah, but I've already wasted so much time out of my life due to addiction. Truly, though, I feel I don't deserve the time I waste now being stuck. I don't know. I guess I'm just overwhelmed with normalism. Hey, I get it. I absolutely get it. One of the saviors for me, literally saviors, was Jack. You guys have met Jack if you've been on the boat for any length of time. Jack was a guy that I got high with every single day, committed crime with every single day. That was my sort of running partner. But I remember getting out of from being incarcerated, and I, started the lifeboat, and things were going well on it. And he would call and say, "Congratulations, you're doing great. I love that you're helping people." And I said to him, I hate my job. I was stacking newspapers. If you guys have been around long enough, you remember when I worked there. Long hours, just awful. And he said to me, do you know how many times we waited in parking lots for somebody to deliver dope? And you would say to me, if I could do it all over again, I just would have bought and sold watches. I would have played with watches, something about that. He said, every single time we waited. Well, you're doing it all over again. So, you know what? I took a chance. Right. I had saved up some money. I put all of it into this, and I'm not bragging, people. I swear to God, I'm not, but it's working, and it's working so much better than I ever dreamed it would. But the point is, you never know what tomorrow is going to bring unless you know what tomorrow is going to bring. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't say, this is what I plan to do, then you're going to get exactly what you got. The only difference is going to be you're not wasted. It's going to be the only difference, right? If you just cut out the booze, you're still the same person. You're still living in the same house. You still got the same job, maybe, right? All of those things don't change because you get sober. So what is going to be your mark? And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to go to Hollywood and become a famous actor or actress. It might just be, I want to fix some of the stuff I've done, I want my kids to look at me and say, you know what, I'm proud of the old man, right? Wouldn't be a bad thing. But I sat down and wrote all of those things, right? What did I want? It wasn't, fame, fortune, all of that, but I wanted my kids to be proud of me. And I wanted a job that I enjoyed doing. I wanted to get up and be, one of those people that at the end of the day say, I hate going to bed and I love getting up, right? That was the dream. And I'm there. I really am. There, you're never going to have smooth sailing every single day of your life. And you know what? Thank God that we don't. Truthfully, you don't learn squat while the boat is sailing beautifully. Sad but true, right? You really learn everything that you're going to learn about yourself and about everything else by overcoming things. So it's kind of essential. And I'll tell you something, Tommy, I get it. I really do. I absolutely get it. Sorry to hear, Mark. I'm not okay. Yeah, it's a daunting proposition. Once the booze is gone, once the drugs are gone, once whatever it is you're doing is now a thing of the past. Now you're left with what now? Start with a piece of paper and a pen. Seriously, because nothing becomes anything until it's real, right? So you have this thing in your head that's a dream. You take a dream and you put it down on a piece of paper. You know what it becomes? A goal. It becomes tangible. It's no longer something sitting on your frontal cortex. It's now something sitting on a piece of paper. And you're actually saying, this is what I intend to do now. I've been sober a long time, and I think I forgot the desperation of the bottom. And the lifeboat helps remind me of where I came from. You know what? What a beautiful thing to say. And that's a healthy thing, isn't it? It really is. It's a healthy thing. It's one of those things I think every addict benefits from attending things like this. It's not a one-way street. You know, I think I probably get more out of this than I give by a long shot. You know, and that's definitely one of the things. Mark and I talk about this all the time. The farther you get away from rock bottom, the less you remember. And that is really a dangerous thing, right? Because you know what you do remember? After all the bad is gone, you start doing stuff like, you remember that concert we went to and, you know, we got wasted on this or whatever. You don't think, and then the next day I had to go steal stuff so that I could figure out a way to not be sick by 3:00 in the afternoon. Unfortunately, over time, the only thing you remember are the parts that weren't god awful. So it's important to, to focus on the past. You don't want to live in it, but by coming and talking with other people, it's one of those things that definitely helps everybody involved. It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yoga with Denise. I love your little icons there. The little dancing girl. That's pretty cool. It's odd.
You know, where do people get all of that stuff? You know who else is really great at that? Is help me. She can write all the words backwards.
Oh, Christine.
Thank you. Yes, Christine.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, you should check her channel out, by the way. She's awesome. But Christine Seidelman is her name. But
yes, there you go.
But she does too, man. It cracks me up. She'll pop in like different languages and everything else. It's cool to watch, but
it's incredible to be sure.
Yep.
All right, I got a couple of comments here. I definitely want to
I was going
to hit. Right.
Go ahead. Yep.
You going to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just going to comment on I think there's a lot of things talking about alcohol in here. Like Stephanie, she says she's been drinking too much lately. Says she wants to detox using booze as a mental crutch. And I think it's probably a good opportunity to tell her about the new drug, or the new.
Yeah, there is a lot of really cutting edge stuff going on for the treatment of alcohol abuse disorder. Right? We used to say alcoholism, but the more syllables you add to anything, the less nasty it sounds. Right? George Carlin used to do a great comedy routine on that. He said, in World War II, people were shell shocked. Right. And then you just kept adding syllables until it was post-traumatic stress disorder. It just doesn't sound like the same thing. But talk to your doctor, Stephanie. There are some really incredible cutting edge stuff that can be done right now that will make it so that if you do drink, you're not going to have any fun. I know that sounds crazy, right? But when we do our substance of choice, two things happen. The drug has an effect on the body, right? Which in turn has an effect on the mind. Alcohol is a poison. Not bad mouthing it, just keeping it real, right? Alcohol is a poison. So we can burn 1 ounce of it per hour out of our liver. As we start to cope with burning that stuff out of our body, there's a whole bunch of things that happen in the brain, right? The first is that inhibitions get lowered, right? We get a little giggly, we get a little wilder, right? All of those fun things. And then the second thing that happens is your brain goes, this is really cool. I'm going to release a ton of feel-good chemicals to ensure that she does this often. to ensure that she continues to drink. The treatments that they have now take away that second aspect, right? So, yeah, you start to feel the booze come on and all that, but that warm, happy feeling that it's been giving you your entire life is now gone. And the success rate with it has been absolutely astounding. Honestly, it is just, yeah, it's really beautiful stuff. And anytime something like this happens, talk to your doctor. Take every advantage you possibly can.
Yep.
Every advantage. There's no, nobility in suffering, through the process. The faster and the easier that it can be made, the better. That's my humble opinion.
I just think it's such a cool thing because not only can you now do that with the help of a doctor, you got them involved, but you're also able to do it without really spending a whole lot of extra money on unneeded things. If you're just detoxing, you know what I mean? Because if you're going to get drunk, you're not going to get anything good feeling out of it.
It's going to take all of the fun out of it fast.
Well, it's like I liken it to this because I'm on Suboxone. It's the same
Right.
thing. I take my Suboxone, and guess what? I don't get high off of that stuff at all, period. I don't even know that I've taken it but what I will say is if I don't take it for 3 days, I know I didn't take it.
Oh, yeah, you'll definitely know you didn't.
And
naltrexone, Stephanie. It is called naltrexone. And if you drop an email to me at sober@myyahoo.com, I will send you that in a written form so that it'll be easier to remember than me just saying it. Zenwen said, I hate the chemical dreams. Here's the crazy thing. Depending on how long you have been off, right? You go through a period where those will taper off to almost nothing, right? I went through a period of time where I didn't have them for probably 2 or 3 years. And it really is interesting when they come back, right? When I am really stressing about something, that's usually when the drug dreams come back. And it honestly is your brain saying, remember how cool this was, right? And you wake up feeling guilty. Oh my God, I just used. It really is a weird phenomenon. Yet, the chemical dreams are bizarre. As I shared with everybody, Fiona's daughter's really been going through it. And there were a couple of nights where we weren't getting a whole lot of sleep for 3 or 4 days. It really got quite ugly. Thank you for all the prayers. Her fever has broken, which is great. She's still having real struggle keeping things down. So if you could continue to pray for her, that would be great. But years had gone by without chemical dreams. And like I said, I haven't been getting a lot of sleep. I got sleep last night and I had chemical dreams and a bunch of them. Daniel Theobald says dopamine, reward chemical, serotonin, feel good chemical, cortisol, stress, chemical, oxytocin is the love chemical. What's special about oxytocin is it can cause neurogenesis within the body and the brain.
Yep.
Well done, Daniel.
Yeah, very well done.
Yeah, well done. The one of those that I find probably the most interesting is, and primarily because of everything that goes on with SSRIs, but the way the serotonin works in the brain. Right now, if you're getting any kind of help with depression, what they're doing is they are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And it's, it's fascinating. I know that I'm going to get emails from people who are going to say,
a bunch of words.
No one needs that stuff, right? Yeah. But if there are people who need it, and for those people, I think it's a really fantastic stuff.
Yeah. No.
What do you call a cow with a twitch? Beef jerky.
He 7 put one in there earlier. I think you might have missed that when it says, how do you fix a crack in a pumpkin with a pumpkin patch?
Nice.
I was cracking up over that.
Timely.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very timely.
Yep. I loved it. Hey, Full of Hope. Good to see you.
Hey, Full of Hope. Good to see you.
Yeah, guys.
So
I think that the alcohol thing is definitely. I'm so glad that we didn't shy away from that subject, Tommy.
No. Here's the thing. Once again, if we've talked about this on a couple of different shows before, if they made a pill, right, that would make it so that your previous substance of choice would never work on you, right? You take that pill, and if it were cocaine or heroin or whatever, all of a sudden gone. It would never work on you. Would you take it? And there's so many great answers that So I think my brother said I would take two of them.
Yeah,
because that's just who he is, right?
Yeah.
He said, from an abusive standpoint, he would obviously want two of them.
Jay Miller, that's very common, by the way. Says he's allergic to SSRIs and SMIs. That's a common
We
thing.
do hear that an awful lot in here, don't we?
Yep.
We really hear that a lot in here.
I can't take Neurontin. I'm actually allergic to that. It's
gabapentin.
Yeah, gabapentin. I'm allergic to that.
Yep.
And what it does to me, guys, and I know it might sound like an effect from the drug, but I actually feel like I'm not there. I literally will stare at the wall. Not even kidding.
Bizarre.
It does something weird to me. And my doctor, actually, I brought it to my doctor when that happened to me. He's like, "I've already got you on the lowest dose possible." He said, "It's obvious you shouldn't be taking this then. There's something going on there that you don't need to be doing." And this is why we say talk to your doctors, because there's a lot of things that me and Tommy aren't going to be able to tell you. We don't have that school. We have a lot of life experience and a lot of research. And
we've read a lot, but it definitely does not take the those people are they spent their whole life studying this stuff and very often have your best interest at heart. Not always, but very often they do, depending on what kind of doctor too.
Right.
Daniel says, I was on Prozac for a year and I could tell the difference of the serotonin reuptake. It felt like false happiness, but it gave me a reference. I've heard other people say that if you are encouraged by a doctor to take an SSRI, don't always feel like the first one needs to be the only one. If it doesn't feel right or whatever, be willing to try other ones. There is a lot of fluoride in Prozac. In fact, it's the at most, what is the word I'm looking for? It's the largest ingredient in the pill. About 40% of it is just fluoride. And I don't know that that's such a great thing.
You guys know what fluoride did to the frogs? You guys know what the fluoride did to the frogs, right? I'm not even kidding. This is not even a joke. I don't even know if I want to say it. I'm not even going to say it. Just move on.
Okay.
Just move on.
Fair enough.
A lot of people probably know what I'm talking about because Mr. Alex J, will say, talked about it. Actually did a whole series on it. It's crazy. But yeah, anyway.
There was some back and forth going on about Denny's, and you guys are funny. You guys really are funny. Ben Genetic said, who wants to jump up and start doing the that Pepto?
Oh, yeah.
Nausea, diarrhea.
Uh-huh.
So and Miss V said, you know what, I've done worse at Denny's. And Zenwen says, I was a server at Denny's for 5 years and worked the graveyard shift. Well, then you could do anything.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no kidding, man.
If you got through that,
especially if you live in a college town.
Good Lord. I could not think of anything that would be more difficult. And now you got Buddha saying, what happened to the frog? Tell you what, Mark's going to email you and tell you what happened. That's what's going to happen. The frog demonetized the video. That's what happened.
I'll tell you what, I'll say it this way. I'm not going to address it after this. The frog started questioning their pronoun. Let's just put it that way.
Mark said,
if
you want to catch Mark in the comment section, Mark, he answered the question.
Yes, he did. Yes. And
has anyone detoxed from alcohol without medication? Stephanie, this is really important. Depending on how much you are drinking, right? Detox off of alcohol is something that you need to talk to a doctor before you do. Now, I know people go, oh, come on, 1 million people quit. Yeah, but if you have been drinking long enough and you have been drinking enough, going cold turkey can cause all kinds of bad things, including death. And you don't have to take my word for that. Look it up, right? There are only 2 drugs out there that cold turkey can kill you, and one of them is alcohol. The other would be benzodiazepines, which is alcohol in a pill for all intents and purposes. So if you want to shoot me an email, right, and we can talk about it a little further. I have no problem doing it with you like this. It's just that we have about a 30-second delay, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. No,
The furniture is really, really happy. Says,
I know. I'm sorry I brought that up, guys. I didn't mean to.
I know, I like it. That's funny.
I just, yeah, those are the kind of things that.
Daniel Theobald says shakes, sweats, rapid dehydration, delirium tremens. Yeah, very, very dangerous stuff, Stephanie. So,
Consult a doctor, 100.
consult a doc. He's absolutely right. Daniel nailed it. Consult a doctor. Now, depending on how much you are, I love Aaron. He says
He's awesome.
63 watchers with only 37 likes. Go smash that like button, crew. Yeah, depending on how much you're drinking. If you drink 4 times a week, then, but if you're drinking every single day, the best case scenario is always that you talk to a doctor before you quit drinking alcohol.
I actually shared the story probably multiple times now here about when I was in-house rehab for 5 days. And the woman was detoxing off of benzos, which is alcohol in a pill, like Tommy said. And she legitimately...
Thank you, Stephanie.
And she legitimately died right on the floor in front of about 50 others.
Yeah.
And she was in a medical facility, guys. So this is not something to mess with. And that's what I'm trying to say. So
a whole host of people this weekend are going to die from acute alcohol withdrawal in county jails across the United States. It happens every single weekend without fail. It is the second leading cause of death in jails across the country. People come in and they don't want to come clean, right? They don't want to tell the people how much they're drinking. They think it's going to end up in front of the judge or whatever. So they'll say, I drink a little, and they end up throwing them into a cell. I drink moderately, but frequently. Yeah. Shoot me an email.
Yeah.
Stephanie. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, and we can, definitely get you moving in the right direction.
Correct.
So,
correct.
But definitely,
my worst night of DTs, I dreamed I was in a hospital with aliens attending me. I've heard, that's honestly not even remotely odd. I have heard so many ridiculous things that people have felt or seen, or dreamt. Yeah, the DTs are really, really something.
Thank you,
Zen One. Thank you so much, and happy birthday.
Yeah, for real. Why are you giving us something on your birthday?
Right, it felt wrong, right?
Yeah.
Didn't it?
I mean, it's like
that just felt absolutely wrong.
Crazy.
I worked as a rapid detox nurse, and 50% walked out or had complications. I assume you mean rapid opiate detox, correct?
Yeah, I don't think there's one for alcohol, is there?
I didn't. That was my thing. I did not know that was even possible. But I know I have gone through it with opiates, and I am not at all surprised that people walk out at all. My twin sister has been on meth for 5+ years now. High score. I'm so sorry to hear that. Tanya D, thank you. She said 61 in the chat. I'm seeing 66. So that's even better. Yep. That is beautiful. Very, very cool. Look, we only got 930 and change to catch up with my rock star partner.
Hey, we got 47 likes now, though. Hey,
I love it.
It's awesome.
I absolutely love it. You know what? It really does help push us out further. Does. High score. It's sad the assist has been on for 5 years. And it's a very tough drug to quit. And the reason is, it does, as Daniel was, listing all of the fun. We usually just go with feel good chemicals, right? Because the last thing in the world we want to do is sound like we're losing anybody, right? But nothing in the drug world will get your brain to dump more feel good chemicals than methamphetamine.
Yep.
And depending on how it's being done, whether it's snorting, smoking, or shooting it, it really can just, so you do that for long enough, and then your body just doesn't want to produce any feel good chemicals or release any until you do it. And that's really where it gets tough. But you know what? Thoughts and prayers for your sister, my brother. Thoughts and prayers for your sister.
That's definitely something that's, it's a hard, it's hard to watch those of us that are in recovery, or we're in addiction, or currently in addiction. It's hard for us to wrap our brain around certain things sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
Watch, thinking of it from the other side of it, like
Yes.
watching a loved one go through it. Just because you went through it doesn't mean that it's going to affect you any different to watch your loved one go through it. As a matter of fact, it might make you feel a little bit even worse because you know
Yeah.
what that feels like, and
No
you
question.
hate to see them struggle. It's brutal. We know this, guys, and we're not saying it to be like saying, "Oh my gosh, don't ever try this." It's not like that. When I say brutal, it's brutal. It's accomplishable brutalness, I guess.
Absolutely, it is. I
It's
mean, it's not going to be fun, but it definitely can be done.
yep.
Tommy Bird. Tommy, I'm sorry, my brother. He says, I hate being mostly unemployed in a very small town. I happen to have already made a name, and a lot of these people don't accept my change, and that seriously limits my options. And you know what? There is really something to be said for that. There are a lot of people who are never going to believe that you have changed. There are a lot of people that are never going to believe I have changed. Um, there is something to be said for moving. And I know that every situation is different and sometimes it can happen, but there really is something to be said for getting a fresh start, especially if you're in a really small town. Um, because you're right. Once that label gets hung on you, sometimes it's very, very difficult to get it off. If that's not an option, then the only option is busting out your chest, rolling your shoulders back, and being that guy. And it's not easy. And boy, it's a lot easier for me to say that sitting in front of this microphone than it would be if I was walking with you in the street of that town. And I understand that.
I,
I
I would add too, Tommy, that
Go
time,
ahead.
time will help that. Okay, and what I
Yes.
mean by time is they've seen you doing the wrong things for so long, right? So now what you have to do is you got to show them. You got to go out of your way, or at least make it very visible that you're doing the right thing now, and let them see it. Don't say a word to them. Just let them see it. And I promise you, you'll be so surprised in the results that will have, 2, 3 years down the road. And it's hard. I get it. I really do. Especially
Boy, it
if you're in a
is.
small town, man. I mean, I don't envy you at all. I mean, honestly, it's got to be hard because everybody you run into, you know what I mean, and on a personal level, they know who you are, what you're doing, and all this kind of stuff. Um,
Yep.
what you don't
In
want to
your
do,
business.
is crawl up in a hole. You don't want to do that because that's not good for anybody. Because then they're going to start assuming you're using again. Number one, number two, they're going to, it's just you're not going to be showing people that you are doing the right thing. And I hate to say it, guys, we can't just say it. Even if you have to, because I've done this before. I ain't saying set up a situation where people are going to see that you're doing the right thing, but I am saying accentuate that if you need to. You know, under promise and overachieve is what I'm trying to say. Um, there's something really to say for that because people will start to see. That's how you open the window for them to look at you. You're starting to twist that blind open so they can actually see you do the right thing again. And because I'm assuming that if you're in a small town, they knew you when you were doing the right thing, so
Right.
they know what that looks like. They see both. So show them the right thing and keep moving. And I know that it's easier said than done. I know I probably way oversimplified all that, but there's really no other way to say it. You know,
You know what? Texas says I had to change people, places, and things, put me on a better path. But online here at the on YouTube the past week, I have been getting smashed hard for my past. Um, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It's difficult to get away from the past, and there are going to be people that beat on you forever. Trust me. I do know.
yeah, we know about that.
Yeah, there was somebody must have asked because Austin says Tommy said he has never really struggled with alcohol. That's not to say that I have not drank a swimming pool full of booze,
Right.
but I never had a problem stopping. Like I would drink for a week, and then that would be it, and then I wouldn't drink for a month or whatever. The only drugs that really gave me a very difficult time trying to quit at all, heroin was, obviously opiates, and cocaine. I really had a struggle quitting cocaine, probably because I was doing it in close I was doing speedballs, so it made the quitting of the two very difficult. I have abused virtually everything, but I never felt like I had a problem with alcohol. I was able to just sort of walk away from that, and
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, which was
and
nice.
I'm the same way, guys. I was the guy that would come home from work, and my wife would have, reach in the refrigerator and grab a beer for me every night. So I was drinking probably 3 or 4 beers a night, and that went on for like 6 or 8 months, and then it, 6 beers, 8 beers, but I still didn't consider myself an alcoholic because I could quit just by snapping my fingers. I didn't have that physical thing there. There was probably a little bit of it, and I
Right.
ran my thumb through a printer at work when I went to work, and I was hungover. I drank a little bit the night before, and I didn't run my finger through the printer because I was hungover. It's just you have to wonder if that didn't
Sure.
play into that. And at that moment, I quit. That was it. Until they kicked me out of rehab or wouldn't let me go in, and I came home and drank 2 fists of vodka, and yeah, ended up with alcohol poisoning in the hospital, and my whole story just snowballed from there. But it
Right.
it's alcohol is a bear. That's all I'll say. I lost my uncle to it in a very very drastic way. Let's just say a Freddy Krueger movie type of situation, and yeah, and that put me. I was in the early stages of my addiction at that point, and I didn't even know I was in that stage. So, and looking back on it now, gosh, man, I try not to look at that part of it, but it's a dangerous thing, guys. And that's all I can say.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. No, it is. There's make no mistake, and it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere, so it makes it very difficult for people. Being alone doesn't help, especially when I use alcohol to cope. Being alone absolutely doesn't help, regardless of what you're using to cope. If as as addicts, especially when we're first starting to try to get and stay sober, being alone is really, obviously that's when you're at your most vulnerable, right? Your best chances of you using are going to be when you're alone. Reach out, right? Reach out, and there are so many ways you can do it now. Reach out to somebody on the boat. Reach out to We have the safe harbor. Send us emails if you can engage people. That I can't beat this enough. The opposite of addiction is connection.
Yep.
It's not sobriety. It's not. It's connection. We end up really alone, right? That's what drugs and alcohol do. They make you alone in a room full of 70, right? You're never really there are people here to help. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That goes for you too. If if the people on the big red button have been pounding on you, I know a little bit of something about that. So reach out, send me an email. I'd be more than happy to talk to you, brother. That goes for any of you. People I looked up at one point and saw
Yeah.
76 or 75.
Yeah. Yeah,
Woohoo!
that's right, baby. Heck yeah.
You know what that means, right?
Huh?
That means that the boat is getting bigger and we're
That's
helping
right.
more people.
That's
That's
100.
beautiful.
I do want to before we end the show, I want to comment on we were talking about the brain earlier, and how the lucid dreams and all the chemical dreams and things. I think it's important for people to understand the healing process of your brain and the aspect that it heals very very slowly. The neural
Yeah.
pathways are, what is it, every 6 months, is it a millimeter?
Yeah, it's so
It's so
slow.
slow, guys,
Yep, it really
and
is.
this is an inherent problem with getting into recovery, because you're not going to have instant gratification, and that's why it's so, for me and Tommy, that's why the medicated assisted treatment worked, because it's
Yeah.
allowing our brain to fix that,
Amen.
and we don't have to fight so hard to stay in that white knuckle area.
Yeah.
And
Well said.
it's just what it is. But
Noise opera. Thank you so much, my brother. I really, really appreciate you. Honestly, and it's constant. He's always there. I really appreciate all the support. I know Mark feels the same way. Um, Zenwen said, I was going to drink today for my birthday because alcohol has never been an issue with me, but I decided it's still not a great idea. And I didn't. And I'm actually proud of myself. We're proud of you.
yes,
True story. And someone said earlier, asked about me and alcohol. No, I've never had a problem with it. However, because of the number of people on the boat who struggle with it, I don't feel comfortable anymore. I used to, I would have a couple of beers here and there, and I just don't. You guys have taken all of the fun, all that you've been tasting it. No, I mean
No,
that. I just feel
yeah.
like there are too many people that I care about that are fighting that. Chuck Norris, two things. He says alcoholism ran in my dad's side of the family. His mother, brother, and his sister, nearly all her family were bad on it. They are Russians, though, and sadly, an alcohol thing with Russians is true. It is a very serious cultural thing. I spent a lot of time working with people. I think I've told the story on the boat before, but spent a lot of time working with Russians, and it really is a cultural thing. He also said that the big red button is doing something, and when he's over on Wages World, he leaves a comment and it can't be seen. So
What's his name?
he would like. That's Chuck Norris.
Okay, I'll check and make sure something ain't crazy happened, Chuck. I'll go check that when I get off stream.
Do you know who would win in a fist fight between Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris?
Probably Chuck Norris.
Duh, Chuck Norris. But somehow my dad never drank and got off oxycodone, or what it was called, about 25 years ago. He had more of the sample boxes than I could count. I don't know how he did it. Yeah, that was Percodan, right? I mean, that's what it was, and
Yep.
that's really all that is, right? And then you add the contin and you just make it a time release, but it's just all it is the same drug that we used to call, Percodan.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you. Really do. And
Tommy Bird says, as far as a move, we've thought about it. I have no one left here tying me to this area, but my wife's mom is here and I have 2 young kids. It would take a huge amount of planning and also courage. You know something? Courage isn't an issue for you, my brother. Now get a pen and a piece of paper.
start writing down your goal.
Start writing down your goals. Start, the old Ben Franklin thing, put a line down the middle of the paper. Right on the left side, all the reasons that staying there would be a really good idea. Right on the right side, all of the reasons that getting out of Dodge would be a really good idea. Right. And then count up which one is bigger. That's what Ben Franklin would do.
Pros and
And then you could do another one with all of the headaches required to move, but start talking about it. Start talking about it in earnest, right? Work it out. Talk about it and see if it's the right thing. Maybe it won't be.
Yeah.
But for God's sakes, talk about it before you wait 5 years and go, I probably should have moved. Don't ever do that.
Hey, Zen Win, listen. I would give you so much more with super chats, but I don't really make a whole lot of money. I just want to let you guys know I love you all very much and thank you so much. Listen, monetary.
You can also just say I love you.
Yep.
That'll do too.
Yes.
That will absolutely do too. And we love you. Happy birthday. And I'm proud of you. I really am. It's, whenever you say, I'm not going to do something, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever, and you stick to that, right? That's just, it goes against everything that we all are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, truthfully, it goes against everything we all are. So I'm always very, very impressed when that happens. We have run a little bit late.
Yeah. About 5 minutes over. We're all right though.
Yeah. Yeah. No big deal.
We love you guys. For sure. And this has actually been a really good stream. I like streams like this where you guys are asking questions and talking.
Active,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, this is what we try to do because I think this is more helpful than just, either Tommy saying just talking and then me talking back and forth. That helps too. But what I'm saying is when you guys we know that we've done something decent when you guys start doing this. And it's that's what we're proud of. Facilitate it.
Thank you, Brandon. And he says via Zenwen. Love you, Tommy and Mark. Thank you.
Please pray.
Really appreciate all of you. And that's the please pray for my young daughter Taylor's health and healing, please. Do you hear that, everybody?
Yep.
Please.
And Fiona's daughter too.
Fiona's daughter as well.
Yep. And
yep.
Keep Linda Pierce, keep her in your prayers also.
Oh, amen.
She's going through the ringer right now, guys. She's fighting with doctors and things like that. She's in severe pain. She can't. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the whole details of it. It's too late to show. But
she needs our prayers.
Yes. So yeah, throw one in the chat for everybody's prayers. How about that?
Yep, I like it.
We'll just do that, and we're praying hands works. And guess what? When we get the memberships up and going, hopefully this coming next week, we're going to have special emojis for that. Just so you know.
Yes. Stephanie, I will be waiting to hear from you. You know what, everybody? I know that this is you've all been waiting for this. This is she's the reason you're all here. We know that. Stacey Michaels, good to see you. Alrighty, everybody. We will be back tomorrow night right here. And boy, I hope it's as much fun as it was tonight because this was great. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass.
Mark Wages.
And guess what? This is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.